Hi everyone. It's been a while. Uh, it's actually my first video since we moved to Germany. Although I did upload a podcast talking about the move a bit and how we moved and all these things. And even though I have lots of things I would like to talk about, I decided to start small to warm up a bit, starting again with the videos. And today I would like to talk about gardens. I was hoping I would be able to start working on our garden here this weekend. It didn't happen. It's a bit of a shame because there's gorgeous weather, but I didn't have enough time to get the garden supplies because there are a million other bureaucratic things that we need to take care of. But it's okay. I'm going to make a video about gardens instead, and I hope to inspire more of you to, start a garden this year. Why start a garden? Well, there are many reasons why gardens are wonderful to have. And when I say gardens, I obviously don't mean like a big garden or, you don't need to have farmland to grow your own things. But, even a balcony or just a few pots are enough, to have the benefits, the mental health benefits of growing a garden. And especially if you have children, or if you want to remind the child inside of you some of the qualities I'm going to talk about, gardens are wonderful. I've got my notes here because there are so many benefits that I would forget some of them, and we don't want that. So the first thing that I feel gardens offer us is hope for the future. Planting a garden means that you have hope. Even on the darkest of days, it means that you have hope that something will grow, that out of the darkness, out of the dark, wet, cold soil, something might come, something might grow. And it is a great reminder that, there will be a little sprout at some point and things will eventually get better. Gardens obviously teach you a lot about patience and about the right timing because you have to wait a lot for the tiny seeds to germinate, and if you rush things and if you put your plants outside earlier than you should, they will freeze and die. So timing is like plays a key role in gardening as it does in life in general, and especially if you have small children, it might be really hard to actually teach them to wait and watch. And if it's their first year that you plant seeds together, they will be checking every 5 minutes to see if something germinated or not. But it is such a huge joy when something does eventually germinate and they do see their first seeds sprout. So it's totally worth the waiting. And that this is actually exactly the lesson that you're teaching them, that the wait is worth it. Then another key aspect is the whole life death cycle, that is part of nature and you see it in a garden. You know, especially if you plant like vegetables or fruit or flowers that have a different growing times, then you can really see how something needs to die to make room for the next one. For example, in the Netherlands and in Germany as well, you see first you have those, I don't know the English name, but those little white flowers. I think they're called snowdrops, maybe in English, that are the first ones to show up in spring, and then you start having like tulips and narcissus flowers, and then they will die around end of April, May, and then you will start having the summer flowers. And the same happens with greens. Like you have raspberries, and then the raspberries are all done and die, and then you will have at the beginning of autumn the blackberries and other types of berries. And the same goes as well for fruit. Then you have figs in autumn, and then before that you have other types of fruit. And some things need to die to make space for other things. And this brings me to the next lesson that gardens teach us, and that is that you can actually turn trash to treasure. And there is actually no trash in a garden. Like I'm talking about compost here when it comes to the literal aspect of it, and how you can actually use all the dead leaves and plants, and also all the leftovers, all the organic leftovers of your food to create very nourishing soil for your garden for the next year or for the next months. And that is actually the one thing that we have already set up in our garden. A very, very simple compost pile. We just put Like I'm just made a cylinder out of chicken wire, and we are putting in there our food scraps, and then we put on top of it the oak leaves that are plenty right now on the ground, and this is how we create like a layered warm compost that we are going to use in our beds, but much later, because it does take compost also. It's a matter of patience. It does take quite a few months to have your first really well made compost that's properly fermented and usable. Because again, with compost, if you're too early, you can burn your plants if your compost is not properly fermented. Um, let's see what else. Oh, yeah, another one that's very, very relevant to us that we actually just moved here is that I find starting a new garden a really nice symbol of rooting, growing roots where you're planted. Um, we chose now to be replanted here, repotted in Germany, and this is where we want to grow our roots. And starting a garden here means that we have faith and trust that we will stay here long enough to tend to our garden and to enjoy many harvests from it, hopefully. And that was also the case in the Netherlands. Like, it was really, really nice having our garden there and enjoy it as long as we were there. And what I've done, I've taken seeds from our plants in the Netherlands, and also we had a fig tree that I really, really loved. And I took cuttings from it, and now I'm hoping to have these cuttings root here and have my Dutch fig tree also grow in our German garden. Um, and that is an interesting concept because, of course, you can try and grow where you're planted, but what if the conditions are not favorable? Here is the thing: sometimes the conditions are really not good, and then you can't grow. Like, as a plant, like a cactus could not grow here outside in Germany. But many times, with some effort, you can actually improve the conditions if you put the work. And this is both literally in a garden. You can choose, you do have the whole garden area, and you can choose where you will position its plant based on its needs, in how much sun it needs, or warmth, or protection from the rain, water, or from ice, etc., etc. You can choose what type of ground you will use to nourish it. Like, some plants need more mulching, some don't, some need more like a breathable type of ground that more air circulates in it. So you can adapt, even though all the plants are in the same garden, still you can locally, like in a micro scale, adapt the conditions in order to offer them the best the best ways to thrive. And in a metaphorical level, this is also the same in terms of life. Like, to give you an example from us, once we moved here, we are very, very lucky that the kids adapted really well at the school. Um, and we do know that our kids have different needs. One of them is more into arts and crafts, and another one of them needs more movement. So they go to the same school, they have different teachers, they go in different classrooms, and we also adjusted their conditions. Like, the hobbies they have are different. We didn't put all of them in the same type of activity after school. One goes to dancing, one goes to drawing lessons. uh, we try and adapt in the details in order to fit their needs as best as we can within the larger context where we are now, where we live, and how our life is. So this is a lesson about adaptability and flexibility that you can learn from a garden. And sometimes things will go wrong and a plant will die. And that's the same in life. You will try an activity, you will try a new job, you will try a new hobby, and it won't work out. And then you just know you need a different type of soil, you need something different to nourish you, and you just have to keep trying, if you want to see fruits coming out of your efforts. And when it comes now to the practical aspect of really starting a garden, especially if you have kids, but also if you're a beginner gardener, I would say it is quite a good idea to get some foolproof plants as well. So do get some plants that you're sure grow in the climate where you are right now, and also that slugs and snails don't necessarily like them. because I've had so many fights. Like, I have to say, slugs and snails really won the war with me. I'm not going to try for salad greens anymore. That's that. I will just do berries instead, and tomatoes that slugs won't eat, and plants that are just safe from those animals. So this will give you actually the courage if you have a few plants that you know will do well. Like for us here, it could be like an apple tree or a pear tree, and then like I said, all types of berries, tomato plants, peppers, cucumbers. Those type of plants do really well here, so it should work. And then specific herbs that do well here, you could have oregano and thyme. And then you can experiment with things that might or might not go well. Basilicum, for example, I read that you could have the Siberian basilicum that could actually thrive here, but the more common types that we have in the Mediterranean would probably die in a cooler summer. But I still want to try. And another thing you could do and could teach your kids a lot about protecting the environment is when choosing seeds, try to go for bio seeds that are not genetically modified, and ideally that are also heirloom seeds, seeds that come from plants that have been grown for generations, and also plants that are not exotic, that are not invasive, that don't come from other countries, but are really from this area. Forgotten seeds, that type of thing, and also seed preservation, because obviously technology, AI, all these things, life is moving super super fast, but there is just this really great feeling of power in having your own seeds and being able to grow your own food, having the knowledge to do it, even if realistically we are not going to do it and we are not going to be self-sustained. And what I found very interesting, I got this really nice book. It is in German, unfortunately, but it's a really nice book that also has a table that shows how many plants you would need in order to be self-sufficient from your garden, and it shows that I really like the fact that it's based on a vegan diet. And it shows that even if you don't have any animals or animal products in your diet that take much more space, still you do need a lot of space, energy, and labor in order to produce your own food, which does not discourage me but makes me very, very grateful to know that I live in the part of the world where I live and having the possibility to just go to the supermarket and buy my onions and potatoes, because I will grow a fraction of it with my kids to show them how food grows. But I know that in order to be self-sufficient, I wouldn't be able to have other activities in my day other than growing food and cooking and tending to our survival basically, and then canning and preserving foods to have during winter where you don't have food grow. And I do want to pass that knowledge down to my kids to this amateur small scale level that I can actually. And I will also plant for sure herbs, because you know every witch needs her herbs. But apart from that aspect, I really love using herbs in my cooking as well. And additionally, they do attract a lot of bees and other insects. There is quite a confusion about bees and pollination. Yes, bees are in danger because of all the pesticides that are being used, but it is not only bees, it is actually lots of other insects that are in danger. And the thing is, we do take advantage of bees because, you know, their honey is being sold and it is a product, but other pollinators that we cannot take advantage of are suffering as much or even more than the bees, like all sorts of butterflies and different types of flies and even mosquitoes and bats. All these animals are also pollinators and they also suffer from pesticides. So do try, and I mean, it's quite easy. Just don't use pesticides in your garden. Don't spray your plants with things that you wouldn't put into your mouth. I am making my own natural fertilizers. The usual stuff: banana peels and coffee grounds soaked in water. And again, it's a bit of trial and error because not all plants like the same fertilizers, and you do have to look up and make your research about, like, I have googled so much. Do tomatoes like coffee grounds? And do tomatoes like banana peel water? And But you do learn a lot, and you do also realize that many of the articles out there, people just don't know what they're talking about. There's a lot of contradictory information, and it is trial and error. But it is all worth it. Like the joy of just growing your own greens and making a salad out of them, and then even fermenting them or pickling them or processing them so you have them also available in winter. It is just a really nice, really creative process. And even for people who don't know how to express their creativity, uh, tending to a garden, like planning a garden where everything should stand based on orientation and water and sun. So planning, designing your garden, and then tending to your greens while they grow, and then harvesting, and then preserving. It is very, very creative, and you can do it in many different ways. And it is a great way to express yourself, while also nurturing yourself and your family if you happen to have one. So that's all about gardens. I do promise I will share more about Germany and the life in Germany if there is interest in that. I myself find there is it's very interesting, like the differences between the Netherlands and Germany, and the huge similarities actually between Germany and Greece. But I don't know if this is something that would interest you, because more of you are following the channel because of the parenting content. So do let me know if you have interest in that. Otherwise, I can talk more about parenting and things to do with your kids. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you again. Have a lovely day.